Welcome to Paratalk with the East Tennessee Ghost Seekers. Hair-raising, spine-tingling evidence covering the full supernatural spectrum. UFOs, cryptozoology, paranormal encounters. Have an experience to share? Call now. 865-264-0448. That's 865-264-0448. And now, here are your hosts, the East Tennessee Ghost Seekers, Stephen Brown, Steve Wiseman, Andrea Brown. Welcome to Paratalk.
Welcome, guys. It's Paratalk time. I'm Stephen.
I'm Steve.
I'm Andrea.
And I'm Jessie.
All right, guys. This week, we're doing something a little different. Well, not too different. We've done it before.
Well, yeah. This is more like nothing but.
It's different just because of the subject.
Yeah.
True. It's different, but the same.
Absolutely. About like us.
That's true.
That made absolutely no sense and total sense.
I understood it.
Right.
Well, I said absolutely no sense and total sense at the same time. Yeah. All right, yeah, so this week we're doing true crime.
Yes.
And one of the probably most heinous crimes ever, murder.
Yes.
Red rum.
Yeah, not
that one.
Not The Shining.
Oh,
that one was fake.
What?
This is true crime.
True.
Not Stephen King crime.
But it's based on facts that Stephen King experienced when he was staying at the hotel.
Well, no, 1408's based on that. Yeah.
So it's
Where are the crickets at this point? I'm just like,
Well, that one's new to me. I didn't know that even 1408 was real.
Here, do me hit that for you?
Yes.
Wrong! Try again, dumbass.
Thank you.
But yeah, 1408's based on his actual stay at the Stanley.
Oh, wow,
The
okay.
nightmares he had, the things he saw
Okay.
that led him to write The Shining.
The one with John Cusack in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Okay, so
Back on subject.
Yeah,
Yes.
back on subject. This week we're talking about the Manson family murders.
yes, we are.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we've gone through so much, and it's not been for enjoyment. I mean, this is more of an educational thing for everybody else that's never really known the in-depth story behind the man.
Yeah.
Or should we say
The monster.
The monster, because he was
More fitting.
Yeah.
he was by no means
a man.
a man. He was so sadistic that it was just
And we have Jessie to thank for this because, we talked about wanting to do a true crime, and she's like, well, Charles Manson just died back in November. Why not do one on Charles Manson? So this week, I have put so much Manson in my head,
Yeah.
I thought I was going to go nuts.
He started scaring me.
me
Oh,
too.
really?
Yeah.
I live with him. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, like every moment I had free, I was watching interviews.
That's right.
Reading
You're the
crap.
reason I had to watch a 3-hour movie last night.
Hey, now I watched
What are you
the
talking?
same thing.
Okay, he says watch a 3-hour movie.
With my eyes closed.
He made it through the first 15 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
And was snoring.
Oh, my God.
I think I made it through like maybe 45 minutes
Yeah.
or something.
See, I did. I made it through. I don't know how long it was because I watched
3
it on my
hours and
phone,
4
but
minutes.
I did. I watched all but 20 minutes of it.
That's funny because you said you got to the last 40 minutes and it just stopped.
Yeah.
The internet died.
Yeah, that's how mine did. It started buffering up, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm not waiting
Forget
on
it.
this.
I'm not doing it.
I'm done.
That's creepy.
Well, see,
Right.
what's creepy is because we had 2 kids back in the back bedrooms, each with YouTube going on their TVs.
And they were
asleep.
Oh.
Gotta
Yeah,
love
so
them
it was
children.
just playing
Yes.
YouTube to the walls and killing the internet in the living room where I couldn't watch what I wanted to watch.
I got a good nap though.
She- yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, they both did. All right, so
But that's not that. Leading up to that though, we'd watched
we'd watched
like
documentary
and
then started watching Helter Skelter.
yeah, and then today
Today we
we
watched,
watched another documentary.
Yeah, did we watch 1 or 2?
I think it was 2.
But the one we watched was more in depth.
Yeah, the one that was on the History Channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was who was that woman? She finally ended up testifying against the Manson
Linda.
murders.
Yeah, Linda. She was the one that.
Getaway driver.
Yeah, she was the getaway driver for. But they took her just because she had a valid driver's license.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was
Linda,
the only one that had one.
Caspian.
That's it. Yes. Thank
Linda
you.
Caspian. But okay, so all this took place on Saturday, August 9th, 1969, when Charles came to Sadie Adkins, Tex Watkins, Leslie Van Houten, and Patricia Krenwinkel, and had them go out and perform this hellacious murder. Mm-hmm. You know, to these people that did not deserve it, had no clue.
Had no clue why, or
Had never met him.
yeah,
No.
Never
nothing.
had any
There was
interactions with the man.
No connection whatsoever.
The true sense of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's go back to Charlie. Charlie as a boy, okay?
Which-
Charlie was born,
He had very much from birth,
yeah, he had
had
no
a
chance.
very,
he had no chance.
at
Yeah.
all. I mean, he was given this
No
life.
name.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. He was no-name Maddox.
His mother did not give him a name when he was born, so
On his birth certificate, it says no-name Maddox.
because he was born to Kathleen Maddox on November 11th, 1934, when she was 15.
Yeah.
And he didn't get his current name until, I think it was a few months later, she married a man named William Maddox, or William Manson, and
took his name.
Took his name,
Yeah.
which kind of leads me to believe that maybe he named
Charlie. Instead.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, the boy, 6 years old, in school. There's a guy there he doesn't like, so he gets with this group of girls and convinces them to beat the shit out of this boy. Mm-hmm. When they confront him, what's he say?
It wasn't me.
Yeah, wasn't me.
They did it.
They did it on their own accord. I didn't have them do that.
Story of his life.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
That's
it's
Started
just-
From
at
6
6
years
years
old.
old.
and what 6-year-old do you know that's going to go and talk people into something like that in their head?
Yeah.
Right.
Where did that? I mean, what's going on up there?
Yeah.
And going back as a baby, his mom sold him for a pitcher of beer.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the mental aspect of when he growing up living with a mother that doesn't care about him.
He was a piece of shit.
He was to her,
Yeah.
and all he wanted was, mama to love him. And then in his mind, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. I'm not worth it. And there's no telling, as a child, he doesn't want to get in trouble,
Right.
so he's going to put it off on other kids. I didn't do it.
But he
has that.
he had that power of manipulation.
He had the ability to talk people into
Yeah.
doing things for him.
Yeah.
Which is,
at such an early
At
age.
6
and that's
years
dark
old
in
started.
itself.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
To, just be able to do that. That's what he always did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of people that consider him a serial killer, but he was not a serial killer.
No.
Because he never killed anyone. He hurt people, like
Yeah.
physically, like, what's his name? Hinman.
Yeah.
He cut his ear off.
Yeah. Over some money.
But never killed
He
anyone.
never killed anybody.
He had
Because
them kill him as he left the house. He's like, he tells, was it Bobby? He had a funny last name.
yeah.
But a guy, Bobby, it was him and Sadie in the house. And
Bouchelet or
Bouchelet.
something.
Yeah.
he tells Bobby, take care of this.
Yeah.
And
they did it.
yeah,
He could even manipulate the men.
yeah,
Yeah.
You gotta think of how suave he was. He was crazy,
yeah,
but he could talk anybody
Yeah.
into anything and make them think that's what they wanted to do.
Very
Yeah,
manipulative.
I mean, he
Yes.
was so, and the word I always heard coming up in these documentaries was charismatic.
Yeah.
He had such charisma
Yeah.
that he,
and charm.
yeah.
Yeah.
And, honestly, there was a point where all he wanted to do was become famous
Yeah.
in music.
Yeah. Well, before we get to that, okay, we moved from 6-year-old Charlie to 13-year-old Charlie, who, had been in trouble all the way up till he was 13. So he gets put into Boys Town, which is a boys' home for these kids that,
Juvenile delinquents.
juvenile delinquents. And he's there 2 days, steals a car, him and another kid, and head out west. And I'm thinking Oklahoma, Iowa, somewhere in there is where he got pulled over at 13 years old in a stolen vehicle. And then they sent him to a juvenile detention center where he stays till he was 21 years old.
Well, and by looking at the pictures of him, it's kind of like, how do you see over that steering wheel?
The man full grown was 5'3".
Yeah.
As a grown man was
Yeah.
5'3".
I mean, it's,
At 13, he'd be like 2'6".
and I'm wondering at the age of 13, stealing
Miniature.
miniaturized, fun size.
It's Charlie the Pocket Pal.
But it's crazy too, though. After he was released, when he turned 21, 2 days later, he was arrested again in L.A. County on charges of theft.
Yeah,
Just life of crime.
yeah. And then he wound up staying in incarcerated till he was 32, I think, and was incarcerated. And then the whole Summer of Love starts.
Oh,
But
yeah.
it was at that point, wasn't it, that he actually said, I don't want to go out.
Yeah,
don't release me.
Don't release me.
I will do bad things.
I can't.
he
I
told
can't
them.
make it out there. And if you let me go, I'm going to do it again.
Yeah.
And they're like, see ya.
See ya.
Just turn him loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he knew he wasn't stable enough to be out there, and yet they let him go. And
Which kind of says, I mean, as crazy and psychotic as he was, for him to have that slight moment of clarity to say, hey, don't let me go. This is not a good idea. It's almost like, was that
Ask
one
for
moment?
help.
That was his one moment for them to look at him and say, what can we do to help you instead of just keeping you locked up here? What do you need
Yep.
to be able to go out there?
And that was a sound bite we heard earlier today, I believe, where he was in court and the judge was speaking to him, and he jumped on the table and told the judge that he was going to cut his head off.
yeah, and grabbed a pen or something and came at the judge's throat with it. And then after that, the judge starts bringing a pistol and keeping it underneath his desk.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that. I mean, and watching these documentaries too, it just kind of, I don't know. It's like, was the judicial system really so skewed that they totally misread, a cry for help? They didn't follow protocol as they should have.
Oh, no. The way
In
they
any-
handled a lot of the evidence was ridiculous.
Yes. Touching everything.
Oh, that button has blood on it. Let's push it.
Okay, that this is by no means a funny, topic. However, when we started watching Helter Skelter last night, and this movie was made back in 76.
Yeah.
The story, of course, is heinous and horrible. However, the acting part of it was just, you had to kind of just you had to laugh. Because seriously, you have the woman screaming, running out, and she's flailing her arms, and you're just like, whoa, okay. And then the police finally show
In a murder.
and then
Like, bitch, what you saying?
What's going on?
and then the police show up, and they're like, how do you get into this place? And she's like handing them the keys, and they're like, you need to come in here. And she's like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And then they open the gate, and they're like, oh, look, there's blood right here. And starts and pushes the button. It's like, really? Barehanded and all. It's like,
That
use a
tastes
stick.
like ketchup.
But I mean, the movie Helter Skelter was just the acting just needed a little work.
Well, it was 1976.
That's true. But it had the classic slasher music,
Oh
Right.
yeah.
which was just kind of like, all right, I see where you're going with this,
Yeah. I'm feeling this.
So
Right.
anyway,
Yeah. So anyway, back on Summer of Love, 1967. He gets released from prison. Peace and love everywhere.
Everybody
Peace, love, and
loved
marijuana.
Everybody.
make
Yeah.
love, not war.
Yeah. So where's he headed? San Francisco.
Hyde-Ashbury District.
That's right. And he gets in there, and he gets in with all of these flower children, and he starts, doing his thing. He was being Charlie. I'll listen to you because you're special, and then you're going to listen to me.
Just draw them
Yeah.
in. Draw 'em
Yeah,
in.
you're beautiful. We're the same.
Here, take a little acid.
Do this.
We're one. Yes.
You will love LSD.
Take his LSD and let's get in a pile.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
at that time, by no means was I in that period, but
We're way too young for
we
that.
are way too young for that. But
Fucking idiot.
but you've got this group of people who just want freedom. They just want to be, free. They just want not to have to deal with the man, and
Yes.
they want love, and
He's
And-
love and happiness.
yeah, exactly. So he gets, all these people to trust him and, be like, oh man, that is what we need right there. That is who we need. So at that point, he establishes himself as a guru,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he taught all of his little group of followers, that they were reincarnations and that they were the original Christians.
he told them what they wanted to hear.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They all looked at him like he was God.
yeah.
Basically.
And he
I mean,
presented
these-
himself as that.
Right.
Actually,
These women, like one of the documentaries I watched, it had like the three main girls, and they're talking about him, and like, he was Jesus Christ. Charlie's Jesus Christ. You guys just don't see that yet, but Charlie's Jesus Christ. I'm sitting here watching this thinking, you're a flippin' idiot.
Well, all of them also thought that they were the one.
Yeah.
That they were Charlie's
They were-
girl. And
yeah.
then he'd take them back to this harem of women.
so
Right.
were they
And-
actually considered Charlie's angels?
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
craziness. But
So, he actually, sometime in 1967, he began using the alias Charles Willis Manson. But he often said it so slowly that it sounded like Charles Will is man's son, which he was implying that he was the same as the Son of Man.
Right.
Which, as a Christian, you hear Son of Man, you're like, oh. And he's putting all this stuff in these people's heads, and they're believing this. My name is Charles Will is man's son,
yeah, and
and they're all on drugs anyway. So they're like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
yeah. So, all right. So we know Charlie.
So should we refer to him as Charles or Charlie?
I'm just gonna say Charlie.
Okay. Chuck?
Chuck Manson. On the next Price is Right.
Yes.
Come on down. So
Ain't gonna happen.
Ah.
Ain't gonna happen.
no, price is wrong, bitch. But we all know he started all this, after he got his little group together, because he learned to play guitar while he was in prison, and I guess during that time with the no drugs and stuff, except for what was snuck into the prison. Oh, and another thing, like when he was in prison, you know, he got in trouble for raping another guy in prison. Held a freaking razor blade to his throat while he sodomized him.
I mean, evil.
Evil man. Evil man. Sorry, all these crap keeps flying in my head, so I gotta say
In his mind, he's got like every documentary like flashing pieces of it going right now.
Yeah. It's bad.
Things keep popping up.
It's bad.
And then
You're going to be thinking about this for weeks. It's never going to go away.
No, we got to start on a new subject tonight as soon as we get done with this so I can start looking at something else.
Something happy.
Yeah. Let's talk about...
We're going to do butterflies next episode.
Next episode of Pear Talk. Mystical butterflies.
I'm in.
But, okay. He wanted to be famous.
Yeah.
You know, he wanted to be a musician. So did I. The guitar is sitting there in the case for a reason. I don't play it anymore. But, I mean, he wanted to be famous. So, two of his girls, which girls was it? Patricia and Ella Jo. They were hitchhiking. And they get picked up. By who? Dennis Wilson from the Beach Boys.
I loved the Beach Boys.
Hey, we're the monkeys.
Oh my God.
That's a wrong band. Wrong.
Wrong! Try again, dumbass!
That would be the Monkeys for 500, Alex.
Yeah. So,
Love that show.
Dennis
Jeopardy.
Good job.
Oh shit! But so he picks them up, and they go back to his house, and they get stoned, and I guess they have some sex, and then
Say it ain't so.
it's so, and then he goes out. He comes back to his house, and there's 12 freaking people in his house.
Charles Manson and
The
his
family.
family.
Yep.
We come to move in. Hey, Dennis, how you doing? What's for dinner?
And he's all like, wait, what?
Yeah. And so, but
He let
you
it
know,
happen.
Well, yeah, because Charlie brought in the drugs.
Well, yeah.
Charlie brought in
And the
all-
women.
And the women.
Well,
so
and,
why is
you
he
know-
going to get rid? You know, yeah, he's this up and coming rock star or whatever. You know, in this big surf band. But Charlie came in with these freaking crazy strung out hoes that will do anything that Charlie says. Mm-hmm. So why would he kick them out?
There was one part of a documentary, and we're going to refer to documentaries quite a bit, but one part I believe was talking about how Dennis actually felt like he wasn't like the other Beach Boys. I mean, he didn't have like the confidence,
He wasn't as talented.
even though he was the pretty boy.
Yeah,
of
he
the
had
group.
the face.
He was
had
kind
the-
of in the background.
Yeah,
He was the drummer.
He was the
all.
drummer,
And
he
not a
wasn't
very
that-
good one.
and not a very good drummer.
So, and when you got Charles Manson coming in here with all these women and all this drugs, and they're doing all this stuff, and Charlie's like, dude, you're awesome. You're
Kissing his
great, man.
feet.
You're,
Yeah.
Loving him.
You're the bee's
and
knees.
and then of course, and then what happens? Dennis says, dude, you need to meet
yeah,
Terry Melcher.
yeah. Terry Melcher can make you famous.
Yeah, because he actually liked Charlie's music, didn't
Yeah.
he?
Yeah, he really liked it.
Yeah. Which, I mean, other than Clang Bang a Wanga Dang or whatever it was, I mean, like, we heard a couple
That was
songs.
a Jailhouse song, I believe.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. They were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was actually very unfortunate that this turn of events
Turned him into what
turned
he was.
him. Yes,
Yeah.
and I kind of joked about it. Last night we were starting to watch all this, and it was almost like Terry Melcher did this for because but he was a well-known producer.
Yeah.
He worked with all these big groups, and that just wasn't the sound that he was looking for.
Right. Which, I mean, he sent a guy out to record Charlie, but Charlie wanted to do it outside. He didn't want to do it in a studio. He wanted to do it
He
outside.
wanted the Flower Children involved.
And all of his family involved. And that's not the sound he was going for.
No.
He liked that raw Charlie sound,
It just
but he
way
didn't want that raw Charlie sound out in the middle of the ranch you know, with all the background noise and all this. And Charlie had to have it Charlie's way or no way.
Yeah.
So it didn't go anywhere, you know. And while he's staying with Dennis, you know, $100,000, $100,000 in 1 month.
I think.
And you got to think back then.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of money.
Yes, a lot.
Hell, that's a lot of money now.
It
true.
is. It is. But back then, I mean, $100,000 could have got you a ton more than it
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
absolutely.
he was just throwing it away on
Yeah.
Charlie Manson like it was no big deal.
It's crazy.
That's insane.
So after the whole Dennis thing, you know, and because they stayed there for a month, then they go to the Spawn Ranch, where everything is batshit crazy.
Well, you know, it actually started off when they moved there. It's a Spawn movie ranch. It was used
Old
in
movie set.
movie
Yeah,
set.
old westerns.
So I mean, it looks like a little western town, kind of cute. I'd
Well, they
enjoy
were actually
visiting.
living in that ranch when they
Yeah.
committed the Tate murder.
Yes.
Yes.
But when they first lived there, I think it was initially very peaceful, and it was
Yeah,
more
it was-
of a.
It was just them
commune.
doing
It
drugs
was
and
peace,
having
love,
sex.
yeah, drugs,
and
sex, all that, and it
music.
was very peaceful until
until Charles got his hands on the White Album by the Beatles,
yes,
which is an amazing album. Amazing.
Yeah.
That's where Blackbird came from. That's my favorite Beatles song of all time. And
Sing it.
I can play it on guitar. But
you'd have to dust it off and restring it. And
no, it's in the case. It's protected.
okay, you'll have to restring it.
It's got a condom on.
It does. It's for my protection.
Well, okay, so he's been listening to this album nonstop, like constantly, nonstop. And during this, like prior to him finding this album, he starts talking, you know, he's preaching to his people
Every night
on
on LSD.
Yes, on LSD, and he's weaving into their minds, and he starts talking about, you know,
The Black Uprising.
yes,
Yeah.
and Helter Skelter, and you know the political.
Well, he wasn't calling it Helter Skelter.
no, not at the
until
time.
He heard Helter Skelter by the
right.
Beatles.
Yeah.
But that was like his aha moment when he
Yeah.
was like, he had been talking about all of this and Armageddon, Armageddon.
Kinda, yeah.
Was that what he called it?
I think that's what he was calling it.
Yeah, he was calling it. I think it was Armageddon. But he was talking about all this, and then all of a sudden, this album comes out, and he's all like, "They're singing about what I've been talking about."
The Beatles. He thought that the Beatles actually
Listen to it.
listened to him.
It's all that LSD.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really.
Yeah.
I mean, that messed with his head
Yeah.
bad.
Oh,
Bad.
very.
girl, we worked that, you know, inside the mental hospital.
Yes.
We
Yes.
saw these effects.
Yes.
Yeah. We work with this every day.
What are you pointing at me for?
Oh,
We
I'm
know
sorry.
the effects.
I'm sorry.
Years later, we know the effects.
Hello?
Drugs are bad. Okay.
Just say no.
Drugs are bad, okay? But so
Don't eat them damn Tide Pods either.
Oh,
No.
right.
especially when they got the liquid in the juice boxes.
But they look
Yeah.
so delicious.
They do.
They're so colorful.
I know. They make me just want to eat
I
them.
know, and it smells good. Does it make the inside smell as good as the outside?
Right.
And blow bubbles.
Yes.
Okay, I got something on that, but I'm not going to do that.
Appreciate I made it.
Yes.
Alrighty. So, Charlie,
Yeah.
Yes.
this guy we're talking about.
Sorry.
Yeah. He didn't do Tide Pods.
No.
They
It's
didn't have
LSD. I
them.
get sidetracked. Sorry.
Yeah. So, he recorded the stuff. Mm-hmm. But then, because he recorded it with his family, Melcher didn't want it.
Right.
So that pisses Charlie off.
Immensely. I think pissing him off is very much an understatement.
Yeah.
It infuriated him. I mean, it infuriated him so much that it went beyond that particular person.
Yeah.
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 At that point,
It just went to the house.
Yeah.
it was
that
no
person
longer
Yeah,
him.
'cause
He
that-
could-
Resided in.
That house represented all of that anger.
Yeah.
yeah. I
The
mean,
betrayal that he felt.
Yeah.
absolutely, regardless of who or what was in there.
And we are bird walking all over this.
We are.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, guys.
So we're talking Helter Skelter. Manson heard Helter Skelter, thought that was about everything he'd been preaching to his family about. And so he tells his family that they're going to have to show the blacks how to go through with Helter Skelter.
To create
To
the
create-
uprising.
Yes. He said, like, this is a quote from Tex. It said, if we needed more proof that Helter Skelter was coming down very soon, this was it. Blackie was trying to get at the chosen ones. So they took this song. Charlie thought that they had to go out and commit these murders and then make it look like the Black Panthers did it. So then the blacks would take over. There you go, Steve. Steve's roaring over here. But so they would take over, start this big race riot, and the blacks would win. And the blacks wouldn't know how to handle it. And they would kill everyone. And Charlie and his family were going to be out in the desert and be the only ones to survive.
He was deliberately trying to start a race war.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And all in the hopes that him and his family could be living a peaceful life, whereas the rest, Armageddon will have taken place.
Yeah.
The rest of the
Just
world,
them.
gone.
Right. So, but the first victim for this whole taking over, starting Helter Skelter. First victim, Gary Hinman. And so he sends Bobby and Mary and Susan, aka Sadie, to Gary's house to get some money. Gary didn't have any money. So they tie Gary up. They call Charlie. And they're like, hey, Gary says he doesn't have any money. So Charlie comes there, confronts Gary, who is beaten,
Already and caught
bloodied.
up.
Yeah.
And if you don't know who Gary is, Gary was their drug supplier.
Yeah, Gary was their drug supplier, and he'd front them money, he would front them drugs, everything.
But when they wanted the money,
He didn't have it.
they didn't have it.
I mean, you can't get blood from a turnip.
Yeah.
I mean, if Gary would have had that money, Charlie would have had that money. Because Gary knew he was going to suffer by not having the money.
Yeah.
So, Charlie argues with him and goes nuts and takes a sword and cuts his ear off. Turns around to Bobby and says, take care of the rest. And hands him the sword.
You know what to do.
Yeah. I mean, so they kill him and they take his blood and they write on the walls, political piggy.
He always told him, and this I always,
Be witchy.
Yeah.
he always said,
Yeah.
be witchy.
Yeah.
Make
You're
it
gonna
known.
do it.
Leave your mark.
Do-
Leave a
yeah.
mark, or
Yeah.
Do it right.
Yeah.
Be witchy.
Telling them without telling them.
Yeah.
Pretty
Exactly.
much.
Yeah.
And, and he would always have that fallback. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't tell them to kill
Yeah.
anybody. I mean,
They did what
I
they
wasn't
wanted
there.
to.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that just, it brings up a clip, that I heard and that I've got saved here. If I can find it. Where's that? Because you know, and I can't find it now. Son of a
Biscuit eater.
Yes, that too. But it was Charlie saying, you know,
I'm
that,
enjoying this show over here while you're trying to search for the clip.
what's he doing?
They're both dancing.
Why did it always gotta be what's he doing?
We got a little dance off going on over here.
But it was Charlie saying, you know, that, you know, he didn't have to kill anyone.
Oh,
He just
yeah.
thought it.
Yeah. Yeah. He just thought it and it happened.
Which is just, ugh.
Yeah. And I would, here it is. Oh, let me stop this. Stop. All right. Check this out.
Brain, I did not break the law. Jesus Christ told you that 2,000 years ago. You don't understand me. That's your trouble. Not my fault because you don't understand me. I don't understand you either. But I don't spend my whole life trying to put the blame over on you because my cigarette didn't light or because something didn't work right. What do you want to call me a murderer for? I've never killed anyone. I don't need to kill anyone. I think it. I have it here. I don't need to live in this physical realm. I walk around in the physical realm, and I put on the faces, and I talk, and I play, and it's this big act, man. In the spiritual world is where I live. I exist in places you never even dreamed of.
That man.
Is Satan.
Yeah.
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 Creepy.
He told you right there. You know, I don't have to kill anyone.
Yeah.
I think it, and Steve will go do it. You know? I mean...
Don't drink the Kool-Aid, Steve.
Yeah.
My willpower's not very good.
Stick with the Pepsi.
Who was it you just sounded like? That was so funny.
Was that Forrest Gump?
No, that wasn't. I don't know.
Oh, Jenny.
It was Jimmy Stewart. That's who he sounded like. Old James Stewart. You know, from Miracle on 34th Street.
Never seen it.
Crickets. Crickets. Man, you need to put that on there.
I know.
I need the crickets.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'll just cheer.
Okay, yeah.
But, okay, so they wrote Political Piggy on the wall and then did a paw print in the blood. You know, the paw print
To symbolize.
the Black Panthers.
Right. Throw them off.
Yeah. And the Political Piggy, because they said that, you know, they wanted, it was his thought that if he put piggies on there, it would be like the Black Panthers looking at the white people as the little piggies.
And wasn't one of the songs on that album called Piggies?
Yeah, it was called Piggies.
Okay.
And that's where he got that
Yeah.
from. Yeah. But, I don't know, dude. I mean...
Well, this brings us to the night, which was August 8th of 1969. Now, I want to go kind of give a little backstory on Linda Caspian.
Mm-hmm.
I felt sorry for her because
100%.
Yeah.
because she was escaping her husband, who had, well, it seemed like he had abandoned her, or that's what she told them.
Yeah.
But she wasn't happy. She had a daughter. They came across one of the other girls from the family, and
Gypsy.
was it Gypsy? And Gypsy's like, you know, everything's great here. This is a good place for you to raise your daughter. You know, you can get away. And Linda goes and she's like, okay. So she leaves with her daughter to go to Spawn Ranch. She gets there. Everybody's awesome. Everybody's chill. Yeah, they're smoking and, you know, whatever. At that point, that's all she's seen.
Yeah.
But, you know, and everybody seems to take care of everybody. Everybody loves everybody. There's no drama. There's, you know, that's the where she wants to raise her daughter.
Yeah.
So she goes into this thinking, this is a great place.
Peace, love, and happiness.
Absolutely. And then she is one that is chosen by Charles Manson to go on this run.
Because she's the only one that has a valid driver's license in case they get pulled over.
Exactly. So Manson actually directed Tex Watson to take Susan Atkins and Linda and Patricia to Melcher's former house, right? Which they get there.
Well, if you back up, the day before, Manson went there to confront Melcher.
Right.
And
He was told.
he doesn't live here.
Right. So he
doesn't,
goes there and finds out Melcher doesn't live there.
Yeah,
It's
the Tate's residence now.
Tate
or
and
the
Polanski's.
Polanski residence now. And, they've been there,
For a month or whatever. A couple months.
And, he's gone. He doesn't live here anymore. And
He leaves a bullet for...
well, he left a bullet for that was Dennis.
Was that for Dennis?
That was Dennis Wilson. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But this was, he was just, when he saw that he wasn't there, he just went, it just knocked him that little step further off that edge where.
Well, and there was no cell phones. There's no real easy way to contact, really try to find anybody at this time. So I guess that was the fact that he figured, I'm never going to find this man again. So, bam, this house.
This house represents everything that's wrong right now.
Yeah.
This house is the reason, everybody in it is the reason that I'm not famous, I'm not being heard on the radio, I'm not this, I'm not that. Mm-hmm. That house represents it. So he sends them out to do their thing. Go out and kill everyone in this house and do it witchy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Evil.
Yep.
So they show up, and unfortunately, someone else showed up.
Yeah. Well,
Stephen Parent.
Yeah.
and and not to say that everybody in the house were not innocent bystanders. This poor kid was like...
He had gone to sell a clock radio.
Yeah, and he was visiting the caretaker.
That's who he was selling the clock radio to.
And
the caretaker.
He was leaving.
Yeah.
On his way out down the driveway.
And gets stopped.
He gets stopped by Tex.
Tex walks around and shoots him 4 times.
And then has Linda grab his wallet.
Yeah.
That's just horrible. I mean, that's just...
Yeah. I mean, this poor kid, 18, 19 years old, had his whole life ahead of him.
Just selling a radio.
Selling a car, or a
clock radio.
Clock radio.
Just ended it all.
It's sad.
So they, scoot on up the hill. And, and what I found interesting, and, another reason to feel sorry for Linda... I think Tex actually really had feelings for her. He didn't want her involved the way he knew that they were going to be involved.
Right.
So when they get up there, he's like, you go around back. Told Linda to go around the back of the house, and him and the other 2 girls were going to go inside the front. So she goes around back, and she's like freaking out because she's like, oh my gosh. She even said,
killing people.
She even said, I just felt like a shell of myself. Like I was there, but I wasn't. And then next thing you know, you hear screams, blood curdling, and...
she said that she couldn't tell if it was men or women.
Right. It was just screams.
Just screams. She couldn't tell if it was men screaming or women screaming. It was just screams.
Yeah.
And then... the whole time inside you get Jay Sebring. He was stabbed 17 times. Was he stabbed 17 times?
Yeah, I think he was 17 times.
Yeah. And then Abigail Folger. She was from the Folger family, Folger Coffee. She runs out of the house. I think Jay actually ran out of the house.
No.
No, Jay was killed inside the house. He was
Wojciech.
Tied to Sharon Tate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wojciech,
Yeah.
which was Abigail's boyfriend.
Yeah. He ran outside.
He ran out first, I believe,
And was-
struggling.
Yeah. And was shot twice,
And stabbed 51 times.
51 times.
And then next, Abigail came out running out, and then she got stabbed I think it was 40 something
Yeah.
times. And then inside you've got, Jay Sebring, who was like the man that created hairstyles for
Men
men
in Hollywood. Yeah.
And
And then
Sharon's
you have
ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
He was Sharon's
ex-boyfriend, and then they just had a really
They were
big
close.
Yeah, they were
like
good,
best friends.
Yeah.
He
Brothers.
was very protective of
Yeah.
her, is what
And then
said.
we have, unfortunately, Sharon Tate, who happened to be 8 months pregnant. Beautiful.
Oh, she was
Yeah,
gorgeous.
she was hot.
She had she could have gone so far.
But,
Definitely.
And-
when she found out she was pregnant, she stopped
Everything.
acting. She
That's
stopped
what she wanted
Yeah,
was a
she
baby,
wanted
a
a baby.
family.
Yeah.
And, and everybody said she was just as beautiful inside as she was outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she married Roman Polanski, who was a director, a movie director. And they were so, that was the iconic relationship
Yeah,
right there.
And that's another topic we might need to get into sometime.
Yeah, another
Roman.
time.
Yeah, Roman. Yeah.
But at the time, he was in London finishing up a film. And then all of a sudden,
Well, he's gone.
he's gone and this happens. And so you got these 3 people in there that have brutally murdered with zero care in the world about these people. Brutally murdered them. And then as they walk out, Susan Atkins grabs a rag, dips it in Sharon Tate's blood, and writes the word pig in blood on the front door.
Well, they also, the 2 that ran outside, they drug them back inside, excuse me, and tied them all together and flung the noose over top of the beam. Which
Yeah, and God, it's just devastating.
It's
It wasn't
disturbing.
just, you got to think of it it couldn't have been just Charlie. He wasn't the only one that was crazy. To be able to be capable of something like this, I mean, who stabbed somebody that many times?
Yeah.
They were all crazy.
Yeah, they were.
I don't know if he drove them to that point or if it was just too much LSD.
It might have been
Well, see,
in
and
that
that's just-
underlying, maybe.
It
Well,
could have been.
okay. They say, 7 hits of acid, you're considered clinically insane.
Yes.
Oh, shit.
Sorry,
You're
Dave.
done. Explains a lot.
But yeah, 7 hits of acid, you're considered clinically insane.
Yep.
And they were doing hundreds.
Yeah, like one of the documentaries I watched said they probably did, 300 hits of acid and LSD in that summer. Just that summer.
Yep.
And there was only, if I'm not mistaken, I'm thinking there was only 32
People.
32
told-
adults and
7 children.
And 7 children
Yeah.
at this ranch.
Yeah.
Assuming the children weren't partaking in this drug usage.
No, the kids were partaking into the drug usage and in the sex.
Oh, see, I did not hear that.
I saw
I didn't
that
know
on one of the
that.
documentaries too. The kids partook in everything the adults did. And like during their orgies that they would
Yeah.
have, the kids, the men, the women, everybody's up for game. The men slept with men, women slept with women. It was everybody was included on everything.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's disgusting.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And they were all that acid and LSD, it messed them up.
Going back to what Jesse was saying, you got to be crazy in yourself, to be able to commit this crime. I'm not sure which female it was, actually talked about cutting the baby.
That was Susan.
That was yeah.
Susan Sadie.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will say, Susan, looking at watching clips of her,
Oh, she was batshit.
Oh my
She
gosh.
looked evil.
Yeah.
anytime you saw her, she just had this just
That wide-eyed.
yeah, wide-eyed and just eerily creepy smile on her face,
Yeah.
and it was just like, oh, it's like a train wreck. You want to turn your face, but it's like, really?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, like Susan said, when she was in the process of killing Sharon, she's stabbing her. Sharon is begging her to stop so that her baby can live, and even told her, you can come back after the baby's born and kill me. I
Yeah.
won't go anywhere. And she looked at her and she goes, bitch, I don't have any feelings for you. I feel no remorse.
Yep.
And continued to stab her. And while she was stabbing her, she said that she had thoughts of cutting the baby out of her while she was stabbing her.
I mean, that's
crazy in itself. That's
It
not
is.
something Charlie created.
No.
That was already there,
Yeah.
whether he brought
They were-
that out
Right.
or it
Yeah.
was just, that's,
yeah, and you don't know if it was the drugs, if it was actually
He might have been the wick, but they were the fire.
yeah.
Yeah.
and it could be some, because I mean, I haven't really looked into their history growing up. I mean, they were all young, and there was like even Tex was like an A student,
Yeah.
played sports.
Yeah.
Played football, basketball.
Yeah. all
Smart,
star.
attractive
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
All of
and I
them
think
were pretty much.
was it Patricia? One of them was a homecoming queen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, these were
I
like,
think, that was Leslie.
was it?
Leslie was the homecoming queen.
really pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, they had so much going for them, but that was on the exterior. We don't know what was happening behind closed doors. If what had been leading up to make them think that moving out to, follow this guy was so much better than what they were already
Yeah.
living in.
Yeah.
There had to be something underlying, and it's very disturbing.
Well, I think he just fed into what they needed to hear pretty much to bring them along. Because that one
Yeah.
woman, he told her, he said, "You're ugly. I'm
I'm
ugly.
ugly."
Yeah.
Let's go be
Yeah.
together." You
Yeah.
know, and so I think he just tells
That
them,
was-
makes them fall in love
Yeah,
with
that
them.
was Patricia. Patricia
Yeah,
was the
okay.
one that wasn't so pretty. And
Yeah.
He told her, you're ugly, I'm ugly.
And
Let's
they
go be
just
ugly
take off.
together.
Yeah, they just take off with him. They're in love.
And
Because she said that, like that first night they hooked up, that he's like, he tells her, go stand in that mirror. Go look in that mirror. And he's like, you're beautiful. You're this, you're that,
completely turning.
And no one had ever told her that before. So
Then all of a
she's-
sudden, bam.
Yeah.
There she
Sold.
was.
Yeah.
Yep. That's all it took.
And after that murder that night, the next day things started to change at the ranch.
Yeah.
It went from that happy-go-lucky feeling to, the thick
Angry.
tension and anger and just,
But that night didn't stop it.
No.
no.
Because they went out.
It was just the beginning.
They went out the very next night.
Yeah.
And they killed 2 more undeserving people.
Upstanding members of the community.
Just because they partied in the house next door, right?
Yeah.
That's all it was.
They were the neighbors at the house they
Yeah.
partied at. Yep.
Yeah, we've been to that house. I don't
Seen
like
those
that
people
house.
coming home
You're dead.
before. Yeah.
I mean, the LaBiancas. I mean, the husband, he ran a
Supermarket.
supermarket, and then the wife had a
Dress shop.
dress shop.
Boutique.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it's like, okay, that's pretty average Joes. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like they were high profile or anything. I mean, I don't know what kind of supermarket it was or what kind of dress shop, but you can't, in comparison to movie stars or music stars.
They go from like a big time person to just average people.
And if I'm not mistaken, he drove them. He drove 3 of them. Who was it?
Leslie and Clem. Then there were the 4 others.
Yeah.
I
He
couldn't-
drove them to the LaBiancas and said, let me show you how it's done, because he felt that the Tate murders were too messy. So he takes them, goes in there, climbs over their gate, and gets in their house, gets the husband and wife together, ties them up,
and then left
and said, "All right, Clem,
Yep.
go do it."
Yeah, covered their head with pillowcases.
And then after he left, while he left these other people in charge of killing this couple, he's going and looking for someone else to kill.
Yeah.
Just some random victim.
Yeah. So they kill them, and on their refrigerator, in their blood, they write Helter Skelter. And then I'm sure there was a piggies somewhere on the wall there.
I think there was a pig or piggies, and then there was Rise.
Yeah, and Rise on the wall.
On their wall.
In their blood.
Yeah.
You know, and he's trying to make all this look like it was the Black Panthers doing it.
Okay. Really? You're doing all this. I mean, granted, you think you are higher than high. You are God. You're above God. You know, you're in this position and you're doing all this. How long do you think that he actually thought that he could get away with all this? Do you think he thought that he was invincible?
Oh, he totally thought it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thought he was untouchable.
Because he was having other people.
Yeah.
So he was going to risk, obviously he was willing to risk everybody else.
Right.
So that he stayed safe.
Yeah.
But at what point do you think that maybe he would run out of people?
Yeah.
He'd run out of followers because everybody gets put in jail?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
maybe he just thought that he could pull in as many whenever.
He could just go somewhere else and start all over again.
Yeah, so he had them killed that night. Uh-huh. He went out after he dropped them off for them to kill them. He went out looking for someone.
Yep.
Well, he remembered Linda talking about a guy, an up-and-coming actor that she met on the beach. And so she knew where he was staying. So he goes to Linda and he's like, "I need you to go kill this guy." And so Linda goes with Sadie and Clem, I think it was.
I believe so.
I believe it was Clem.
Yeah.
Sadie and Clem, because Clem drives her to the motel where he was staying, and Linda goes to the wrong door on purpose.
Yep.
Knocks on the door. The guy answers, and she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I got the wrong room." She turns around and tells them, he's not here now. And Clem's like, "Okay, well, let's just go back to the ranch."
Mm-hmm. She would rather have risked being killed
Than to kill.
than to kill.
Yeah.
And and I understand that she was part of it. These murders, just being involved, so to speak, being the driver, being in the car.
Guilty by association.
Yes.
She was guilty by association.
And in one of the interviews with Sharon Tate's sister, she was like, I don't think she should have got off because Linda gained immunity for testifying against
The family.
the family. And I can see why, her Sharon Tate's sister would think,
Well, yeah, that's her sister. She lost her. She'll
Absolutely.
never have her back,
And,
And she
because
was driving these people around.
Yeah,
so
so
they were
she-
able to do this.
she
knowing.
knew that this was happening. But, playing devil's advocate, being in, just seeing what Linda had gone through,
Yeah. Had
And-
you been in Linda's position, would you not have done the same exact thing?
because
Because it's either you drive them or God knows what's going to happen to you.
she
your daughter.
left
Yeah,
her
and you-
daughter at the ranch
Yeah, when she finally escaped.
when
yeah.
she finally escaped. She left her daughter there because there was no way to get her so she could get away, and she had to go in hiding because she was scared for her life.
Yeah, she wound up going to New Mexico
Uh-huh.
and hiding.
But, she did get her daughter back.
Yeah, because 2 to 4 days, somewhere in there, after the murders, the ranch gets raided. Charlie's hiding in a cabinet with the door closed. Cop sees a hand and hair hanging outside of the door, and goes over.
Sounds like some Ring shit.
It does, yeah.
Well, and when they were rated, they were rated not for murders.
No, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So they get rated.
Sorry, jumping the gun here.
Yeah, just a little
Get
bit.
excited about it.
Sorry, my brain's going this way too.
Just a little bit.
Shut up.
Stay off the LSD, dumbass. So, cop opens up the cabinet and he's like, come on out. And here comes Charles Manson crawling out of this cabinet. They grab him, they're hauling him out. They're, raiding all these cabins and everything. And everybody's screaming and fighting and all this. And Charlie's like, what's going on, man? What's going on, man? And like, yeah, we know about all the stolen cars, blah, 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 blah. He's like, oh. And he laughs it off. He's fine with it then.
Yeah, it's nothing compared to murder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple murders.
Yeah, they don't have any clue that I had anything to do with it. This is about the stupid cars.
Yeah, and that's so. I mean, that's a little bit of jail time, whatever. No big deal.
Yeah.
Out.
Yeah, they were in there a few days and out.
Yeah, it's crazy too, though. Kind of backtracking a little bit. The two different detective forces. On the Tate case and then on the
LaBianca's
case.
They working them basically the same way, but didn't make any connection.
They can't figure out that it's the same people.
That's where in the beginning of this podcast when I said, the judicial system was just really messed up because not only did they mishandle evidence by, just lazily grabbing, clothes, gun, all this stuff, which by the way, when they found the gun that had been used, it was this little boy that found it, and he picks it up by the tip of it, the barrel, the tip of the barrel, and he said to his dad,
I saw it on Dragnet.
Yeah.
You don't need to touch the weapon.
Yeah, he learned from watching Dragnet that you're not supposed to touch the handle because of fingerprints. Well, as soon as his dad turns it in, the cop grabs the handle and is like,
opens,
looking at everything.
The chamber of all, looking at it.
And then, they go.
And the kid looking at him like,
like you're an idiot.
Dumbass.
Yeah. And then, with.
Even I knew that.
Yeah.
Wrong. Try again, dumbass.
Yeah. And then, when it comes down to, you have these two very similar murders, stabbings, writings on the wall dealing with pigs and blood, and it's like, how do you not make that connection?
1 + 1 = 2.
Yep. They obviously missed out on that lesson.
I reckon.
And it took, and even with the Hinman murder, the police that were doing the investigating on the Hinman murder came to LA and were like, hey, we might have something. And
were turned away.
And they were like, I don't think so. Yeah. Completely different.
This is all about drugs, man.
Yeah,
this is all about drugs.
And it took a news crew to find the bloody clothes.
Yeah. And we can't forget the main thing that caused them to get busted.
Sadie.
Sadie winds up in jail. And she's in there, and gets a couple friends and starts running that mouth. Because she's batshit crazy. And she's like, hey, those murders at the Tate house? And the girl's like, yeah. And she's like, you know who did that? She's like, no. She's like,
you're looking at her.
Exactly.
That was good.
That was good. Yeah, that was
I just
good.
watched it. So.
And, so that freaks the shit out of her cellmate.
With me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd be like, can I get
I gotta go to the bathroom.
I need
Come get me.
Please put me in solitary.
So, her cellmate goes to the sergeant, eventually gets word to the sergeant that, Chick is saying that, she's the one that killed, Sharon Tate. And so that opens up everything.
Floodgates.
And, yeah.
Everything starts connecting
Yeah.
all of a sudden.
So they wind up in court. Mm-hmm. They arrest Watson, Krenwinkel, and Caspian, and of course Charlie. And Caspian gets off because she
Testifying
offered up,
as-
state's evidence, whatever.
Which, had they not had her, that would have been a very difficult.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
Charlie, the other ones would have been gone.
Yeah.
Charlie would still been out here looking for people, up until last November.
Because they
Yeah.
would have covered for him.
Yeah.
They would have been like, it was me. I did it.
Yeah.
Solely.
So, on January 25th, 1971, the jury returned the guilty verdicts, and the 4 defendants each got 27 separate counts against them. Then, 3 months later, in April,
2 days before I was born.
yeah,
Oh, snap.
April 19th, 1971. 2 days before, 2 days before you were born.
I wasn't lying.
Judge
Seems
Older
like so long ago.
sentenced.
It was.
Yeah, it was. Judge Older sentenced the 4 to death. Then,
I agree. Yay!
but then you know what happened? California done away with the death penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wrong. Try again, dumbass.
Yeah. They done away with the death penalty, so they get to spend life in prison.
Well, let's see. Susan Atkins
Died
from
cancer.
Karma.
Yep. But Susan also, I saw another documentary with her. It was like a little, well, it wasn't really a documentary. It was more just an interview.
infomercial.
Yeah, it was an infomercial about Tide Pods and LSD.
You saw that too?
Yes. Yeah, while I was eating fried green tomato. But while she was in prison, it took 3 years of her being in prison before her mind started to clear up.
3 years.
3 years.
It took.
to
That
get
was a
that
3-year detox.
That's exactly what that was from all the LSD and acid she did while she was with Charlie.
Could you imagine?
So
No,
she said it took 3 years for her to get that out of her head and her to realize what she had actually done and how she had acted and all this. Remorse hits her. Guess she finds the real Jesus and not Charles, I'm Jesus Christ Manson. And, I don't think I can't remember if she ever tried to get parole.
I think all of them actually tried.
Did-
Some of them more than others.
Yeah,
Denied.
Yeah, Leslie's tried a lot.
Yeah, and I think even Tex had like
Yeah,
27.
yeah, 27 attempts at parole.
Yeah.
and denied every time.
Which, with his part,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, no.
Do we know, did he die in prison or is he
No,
still
he's
alive?
still alive,
He's
dude.
still
He's fathered 4 kids
Yeah.
while he's been in prison.
He has 4 kids, fathered them while he's been in prison.
Well,
Yeah.
that's an awesome gene pool to come from.
Yeah,
For real.
Why would they even give that man conjugal visits,
Right.
knowing that that's just gonna pass on to decades?
Seriously.
God,
It's
I'd be no.
sorry, denied.
No booty for you.
yeah, we are cutting your balls off.
Right.
Yeah,
You can do it through the window.
put it on the walls.
Stay tuned next time.
But, there's still, 3. There's 2 women, which would be Patricia
And Leslie.
and Leslie, and then
And then
Tex,
Tex.
that are still incarcerated. And I mean, they are trying their darndest to get paroled because it's been so long ago.
Leslie, like her last hearing, they okayed it, but now they're going through this 120-day wait period right now, and they've got maybe I bet you it's less than 3 weeks till that 120-day period's up, and if they don't overturn it, she will be walking free.
Wow.
Why?
Yeah.
That's just...
Yeah.
You brutally murder people. You don't deserve that freedom.
No.
Those people's lives have been cut short. Yours should also.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Whether it be by death penalty or life in prison, you do not deserve to walk a free person.
No, you don't. No. Never, ever, ever again.
And Charles Manson died in prison
In November.
after all of this. And,
Should have died 30 years ago.
he should have.
He should have.
And if anybody ever gets a chance to listen to him talk, he's a madman. He is a legit madman.
Well,
Let's
do that real quick. I'm just going to play some random clips of Charles, just different things.
I mean, really sit here and listen and think, is this somebody that should have just been able to sit here? Is he not so bat crap crazy that he deserved it?
Yeah.
She called the shit crap.
I heard that.
Sorry, guys, I G-rate.
All right, so we're going to take a couple minutes here, and I'm going to turn our mics off, and I'm just going to play some clips of the back crap crazy.
I'm sorry. I think
Charlie
it sounds
Manson.
a lot better.
It's the family
Bat crap.
version.
It is.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Somebody's got to
Shit crazy.
Somebody's got to G-rate this
That's
part.
right. That's
All
right.
right, well,
Not the mama.
okay. Let me.
Totally the mom.
We've been talking about people getting massacred for the last hour. There's nothing G-rated about any of this.
This is true.
I gotta pull some G in this.
We feel dirty.
do.
Put a little
I need to
good
take a
in
shower.
That's not it.
I show my.
All right, so I'm gonna turn the mics off, and I'm just gonna play some clips of Charlie being batshit crazy.
Being Charlie.
Being Charlie. So here's Charlie, guys.
Everything's a reflection of this. When you reflect that, you reflect music.
Should you be in prison at all? Should you have been in prison?
Well, see, to start with, prison was originally started as a farm. And if you liked the person that came in your courtroom, you gave him another chance to be reborn and enter into a right way of life. Prison was not built to punish people. It was built to help people. That's why they're called peace officers. But sadistic ding-dongs got in there and wanted to make it into be the shadows of what they thought. And the incompetent and the inadequate need to punish someone so they feel better. So it's like in reform school, they used to lay me down and beat me with leather straps till I couldn't walk. And I used to think, what did I do wrong? And for years I would think I was wrong, that I did something wrong, and then I seen it wasn't that I did anything wrong. They beat me so they show the next kids now what not to do. So, in other words, like, prison is the mind. Most of the people that work in the prison are more in prison than the people they've got in prison. They've just got their kids in prison. They've got the poor people in prison. They've got people that have no money in prison. I don't understand what prison is anymore.
He hates white people. He's scared to death of this black guy. He's afraid this black guy's going to beat him up. The black guy ain't even thinking about it. The only reason he's scared of the black guy is because he's messed over the black guy so bad. You dig what I'm saying? He's got all that back, so what he'll do is feed me back to this dude. You dig what I'm saying? And say, well, here, don't hit me, but jump on him. And then they'll hold me in the point and stand me out here in front of all these black people, you dig? And then push me down in there and try to get me hurt, and try to get me killed in every way they can. And then when they can't, then they say, oh, wow, man.
Bundy's a rumpkin. Bundy's a poop butt. Bundy's his mama's boy. Bundy's out there trying to prove something to his own manhood. That's got nothing to do with me. I don't roll around with people like that. I stand with people that can stand with themselves.
What do you think about what he said about pornography?
Pornography? I've been looking at it all my life, and it hasn't affected me anything.
Drugs, LSD, I don't consider a drug. I don't consider peyote a drug. Those are more or less religiously significant awareness, mind-expanding apparatuses that come from the intelligence of the universe.
Do you read? No.
Why not?
Well, I found my thoughts are more interesting than anything I can read. I'm friend to everything I see, everything I know, everything I feel. Everything is love. There's nothing that isn't love. Even the confusion is love in one form or another. It's misguided. Love is a word that we use to supplement for God, or I would rather use the word intelligence. If you're going to use the word love, use the word intelligence. Because love is misunderstood in so many different ways and fashions.
Do you need to be loved?
Loved? I am loved. I am loved.
Are you loved?
I am loved.
Are you loved?
All the way.
Okay.
I'm around the world with it. Ain't you seen it? 15 times. Standing in the fire with it, man. My father died in the battlefield for my rights. Then I go down to L.A. and some district attorney wants to get rich and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
He's got something that's selling good. He dumps it over on me. It's okay.
Yeah.
There's only one poor guy down here. He's nobody. I'm inside of you, man.
Yeah.
I live inside of you. I'm inside every one of you.
And to say that suggests that what? You being evil is inside of all of us?
Life.
Yeah.
Evil. It's beyond good and evil, man. It's a balance. It's apparatus.
Wow.
I'm just going to tell you right now.
Full of ourselves.
Hold on, I didn't turn my mic on. I'm just going to tell you right now. He's not inside me.
No.
Or his sadistic ding-dong.
No.
No, he is a sadistic ding-dong.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, so...
Andy's
not a
poop
finger on that hand.
butt.
He's a poop butt. We don't hang out with poop butts.
We don't hang out with poop butts.
So he never had to give you the hind liquor maneuver?
No. Nope, no honey liquor maneuver coming from that sadistic ding-dong.
You know, I mean, we laugh about this right now, but it's not because of
Not because of the subject. We have to make light of this.
We do, because it is so beyond.
Because, I mean, we've talked about the darkest subject we've talked about since we've been doing this podcast tonight. And if we didn't put our spin on this and we put regular media's spin on this, this would be the most depressing.
It would be.
We would end up bat poop crazy.
We would be bat poop crazy.
We would be bat crap. Call the poopy
crap crazy.
Crap, whatever. But we have to make light of this. Not to make light of the matter and because of what happened.
For our own sanity.
For our own sanity, we have to, throw our jokes in and do our thing just because the subject is so dark. It is so disturbing.
And it's just who I am.
Oh, Steve.
You are disturbing.
Oh, Charlie.
Disturbed?
Where's the window?
Stay away from it.
But, just to cap off this subject, everything that happened is absolutely horrible, and constantly, there's a ladybug.
That was the one that was
And I'm definitely not sad that he's dead.
Oh, no.
I think it could have been a lot more painful.
Yeah, it should have been.
It should have been a lot more
I would have been
painful.
completely okay with that.
I think there were a lot of things that that should have been done that could have fixed this a lot sooner.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, the loss of the lives that were taken probably would have already been lost.
Yeah, I'm thinking, all the bad stuff Charlie did when he was in prison before.
Oh, yeah.
With what we discussed earlier.
Uh-huh.
That should have happened to him 100,000 times over.
Yep.
Do you think
in the last 40 years in prison?
But do you think that these years that he had spent in prison, do you think he gathered a following?
Very possible.
I mean, if he was that capable of doing it to the outside, and then you go into a place like a prison that has
caged animals.
Yeah. And these people are wanting a release, and if they can't get a physical release, they at least they want a mental release. And if they can find somebody that is willing and able to bring them up,
I'm sure he had a harem.
Talk to them, and talk to them, and tell them what they want to hear. Whether they're
and how scary is that to think about that right now?
Oh, absolutely.
Because these people that followed him in the beginning, they didn't have this big crime spree behind them. They were just normal kids that wanted someone to love them and see them as they were,
and accept them,
and he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But he also said the most he's ever felt loved was when his mother hugged him one time.
One time.
That's so sad.
It is. I mean, that
As a
just
mother,
goes to
I
show
can't
back. I
imagine.
know. I mean, that just goes to show how early this started for him.
Mm-hmm.
From birth.
Yeah. But where I was going with that was, if he did get this harem inside the prison, okay, we don't know what kind of people that he was talking to. It may be people in there on, a 5-year sentence that are getting out in 5 years because it wasn't murder. It was a drug charge or whatever. What did he put in their head, and are they going to be bringing back out to society now?
Yeah.
That's exactly where I was going with that, because it's like, how scary is it to think that it was so easy outside, and the fact that it could be even easier inside.
Yeah.
What could be coming back out of it there?
Right.
Back when they committed the tape murders, he had all kinds of high profile celebrities and politicians.
Had a hit list.
They all started carrying pistols in their glove boxes and on their motorcycles. Steve McQueen.
He said he carried a pistol in his glove box since he found that out.
I mean, there were so
back then before he died,
and that is just terrifying to think that could be, even if he's gone. Mm-hmm. Who's to say that there's not somebody else in there, or somebody to carry on his legacy, whether biologically
his
or
children.
Well. And that's another thing. There are 3 people vying for his body right now.
Right.
And 2 of them are claiming to be biological. And 1 is a trusted friend. Mm-hmm. So that's what they're working on right now, is trying to figure out who gets. Because it's been since November, he's still not buried.
Yeah, his body's still sitting there. Yeah.
Because they can't release his body until they find the rightful heir, or...
I say burn it.
Yeah.
Throw it in the field and burn it.
Well, and
he's sitting on ice right now.
There's one man that's claiming to be his grandson, and he's wanting to give him a proper burial. And I'm sorry, I know that's his granddad. That is terrifying. And this is a person that you've never met. He had never actually met this man. But he's sitting there like, I know he did wrong, but that's my grandfather and I love him. I just want to give him a proper burial. And it's like, are you listening to yourself?
How can you say that you love somebody that you've never met?
Yeah.
Well, who would want to be associated with him? That's what gets me. I'd be like, I don't know who you're talking about.
Well, that's just like...
Well, and actually his dad... This grandson of Charles Manson, his dad was Charles Manson Jr. And he did not like being associated with Charles Manson. So he went and changed his name to get away from it, and then eventually killed himself because he could not handle that.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh.
Killed himself just to get away from the association.
There's no telling how many kids he has running around.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
I mean...
Yeah.
I mean, there's... good possibility that there's a lot.
Yeah, and some might not even know it.
Friggin',
I wouldn't say, hey, you're
a colony.
You're Charles Manson's child.
a 16th of San Francisco is really Manson's.
Yeah.
Famous.
Other than Maryland.
But I mean, yeah, I don't think that I could, even if I knew 100% that he was my grandfather, that I would be like, but I still love him. He's my grandfather. I just want him to be buried properly. And
Freaking idiot.
Yeah. Somebody that has that history behind them, how?
No, like I said, it's
And
all
you've
about
never
the
met
gene
them.
pool.
And you have never
wait.
met this person. So
Dumbass.
the fact that you've never met him, you can't. No, there is no legit reason for you to say that you love this person.
No.
If you've met them and they were super duper kind to you and they bought you all kinds of fun stuff, then maybe at some point, there's a little bit of love there.
Earn
but
that love.
Yeah.
Be like me going to a new job tomorrow and hugging my boss saying, hey, man, I love you.
You're my best friend.
You're the bestest.
You're wonderful, and I want to hear everything about you.
Can I know your life story?
Yeah. Take me home to meet your wife.
Will you adopt
then leave.
me? Oh gosh.
All right. Well,
This was a very interesting topic, and
This was.
honestly, I'm sorry, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this. I know we kind of jumped up and down and all around.
What was it? Steven said we bird walked.
We did bird walk.
We bird walked all over.
We
this.
bird walked, bird talked, and bird watched
Yeah.
this whole time.
You saw a bird?
I did actually. No, a ladybug. But
that wasn't a bird?
No, it's a tiny bird. But we
it was a new
really
species.
hope that you all enjoyed this, and let us know if you want us to continue doing these type of topics. 'Cause
Yeah.
there's all kinds that we can get into.
I enjoy the true crime stuff.
Yes.
It is going to take us a while to get over this one, so hopefully next week we'll be a little bit happier.
Yeah. Again, if you don't like the dark stuff and we went a little too dark for you this time, I do apologize for that, but I'm not going to change it. Well, I said I'm not going to change it because,
it's a part of history.
it's a part of history.
Get
It
used
is.
to it.
Yeah. And it's going to happen more in the future.
Yeah.
The way our world's going right now. And I guess I'm going to throw this out there for all the families that were affected by any school shootings and all this crap that's going on in our country right now, just to let you know that you are in all of our thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
And,
Quit eating the damn Tide Pods.
Exactly.
Please.
God.
Please.
They're not candy. They're not. They're pretty.
But they don't taste good. No.
They make things smell good.
My
not
mother
taste
used to wash my mouth out with soap when I was a kid for cussing. Yuck!
And that worked out well.
This, I
Definitely.
haven't cussed in 3 sentences.
Shoot, yeah.
But, no, you guys are all in
Stay
our
strong, all of you, all affected. Stay strong. We're
you're in our
all.
thoughts and prayers.
Yes.
And hopefully all this bullshit stops and kids will mature and
Quit killing each other.
And
Yeah.
if there's any kids listening to this, don't make stupid threats.
Yeah. 'Cause we know here where we're at. Just this past
We've
week.
been affected.
Yeah.
In a 25-mile radius.
In a 25-mile radius, there have been
2,
3, 4,
5 kids arrested
Wow.
Yeah.
for threats.
Yeah.
And,
It's not worth it.
and they should have been arrested.
Absolutely. But it's not worth the jail time, the expulsion, the ridicule,
The officer's time.
yes, and the history.
And the
you
shit
know?
you're putting your family through by doing this stupid shit.
It's not worth it. Just
If
don't do
people
it.
would just handle it like we used to, just fight it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Duke it
Yeah,
out.
duke
And then
it
walk
out.
away from
Yeah.
it and be good.
And parents-
Parents, whoop your
It
kids'
is okay
ass.
to
Yeah.
spank
Yes.
your babies.
Yes, it is. I am
Ooh, I
all
cussed, I'm
for
sorry.
whoop- Oh, I'm getting the soap. That's it.
Where's the Tide Pod at?
Promises.
Where's the Tide Pod at? I'm gonna wash your mouth out.
But all right, we're gonna get out of here.
It's been a long one.
It's been a long one.
It's been a good one. I've enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we will be doing more true crime stuff. Next week we'll be coming back with more paranormal stuff.
Bozo the Clown.
That's
Yes.
Wait, what?
The Haunting of Bozo the Clown.
Are we
Maybe
talking
not.
about Bozo or Zozo?
Oh, don't say it. Oh,
I got a culture.
that would be a
my.
good one. Zozo and Ouija boards.
Next week, Ouija boards. Good, bad.
Are they good or are they bad?
Hashtag sweet tea.
All right, guys. For Paratalk, I'm Steven.
I'm Steve.
I'm Adrian. And I'm Jesse.
And you've been listening to Paratalk.
That's all, folks.
You're listening to Paratalk with East Tennessee Ghost Seekers, a new perspective in paranormal talk radio.
Hey, it's Steven from Paratalk. Do you have a story to share? Call us at 865-264-0448 to explain your paranormal experience, or to share your favorite ghost story, or to even give us a topic you would like us to discuss. We understand if you want to keep anonymous, so the choice is yours to share your name with your story. So call 865-264-0448 now and have your experiences heard on the next episode of Paratalk.